Now, I'm joined here by the Australian's chief cartoonist, Johannes Leak. Johannes, how are you?
Good, mate. Good to see you, Jack.
Really, really good to see you. I hope you've been well. Let's get straight into it. There's been some brilliant cartoons this week, and I think one of the best has got to be Mark Knight here, capturing Daniel Andrews and the feats that he's going to have to achieve when he comes back. What is going on here?
Oh, well, I mean, talk about cruel. Do you think he might have a bit of a fear of staircases after that big fall from a few months ago? But I just think Mark is incredible the way he makes these visual jokes, and here he's latched onto a very famous image by MC Escher, which has all these this sort of impossible multi-dimensional type setup with staircases going in all these sort of physically impossible directions, and yet somehow the image kind of makes sense, you know. But he's given them all names. He's got injecting rooms, Victorian economy, project blowouts, lockdowns, polls, and poor old Andrews on his first day back, just freezing up at the side of all these staircases that are all set up for him to go tumbling down. I just thought that was brilliant, clever.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, the world has kept on ticking while he's been away, and he does have a lot of stuff he's going to have to address. Let's go to one of yours, because this is brilliant. We've got Gladys Berejiklian, Anastasia Palaszczuk, and she's in the bulldozer, and obviously this is about her war with Scott Morrison this week.
Yeah, well, this is about some of those extraordinary comments from Dr. Jeanette Young, where she said that she wasn't comfortable with people under 40 taking the AstraZeneca jab. And, you know, here we are, we're desperate to get the rollout sped up. The federal government seems to be looking for ways to remove obstacles so that we can make use of the stores of AstraZeneca that we have. You know, we do know that the risks from this jab are minuscule at worst. But you know, I put a bit of a spin on the Hippocratic Oath, you know, which is to first do no harm. Well, that's what doctors believe in, and that's what they espouse. But what about the harm she's doing to the vaccination program, and the possibility that, you know, people are going to hear what she has to say, and then they're going to think twice about going out and getting a vaccination, which is, you know, what seems to be the sensible thing to do.
Yeah, look, it's a really good point. And speaking of spin, you've got another one here, this time with Gladys Berejiklian in the car, going around with a megaphone. It's not a lockdown, it is a lockdown. This is obviously a callback to the early days where we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it seems, you know, after I drew this cartoon, sure enough, we were plunged into lockdown in Sydney. But yes, it was all looking like, you know, she was holding off for a while, but it seemed to be just around the corner. So I thought it was time to give her the Dictator Dan treatment from some of my cartoons of the Dictator Dan sticking out the top of his black limousine, you know, Xi Jinping style. And this was about the fact that she wasn't going to use the word lockdown. This was the lockdown you have when you're not having a lockdown. And it was, instead, she was calling it all sorts of other things other than the L word. So that's what that cartoon was all about.
Well deserved. Good on you for cutting through the spin. Are you confused about vaccines? I am. Warren Brown's tried to make it a little bit less complicated for us.
Yeah,
what's going on here?
Look, he's beautifully summed up this perplexing sort of situation we find ourselves in. Mixed messages, and this kind of crazy flow chart that he's drawn here, which does sum it up. I mean, one look at that, you know that it sums up what everybody's thinking, which is, you know, how are we supposed to make sense of some of this stuff, especially when you have premiers saying one thing, health officers saying another thing, and the Prime Minister and federal ministers saying something else too. So it has been confusing, and you do have to feel for the average person who's trying to make sense of it all.
Johannes Leak, it is always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me on my first official show.